1. Fragments of Silicon, perfectly for cutting away any unsightly scarring.
All right, welcome to another installment of Fragments of Silicon. Bit of a format change here, as our guest has limited time. We only got half an hour to cover things, so we're getting right to the main event, as it were. So, without further ado, I'd like to welcome to the program John Vanderhof of Orebody Incorporated.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
No problem. Thank you for being here. Right, so how we like to begin things is we like to get to know the people behind the studio, the game, and all that assorted business. And we begin that journey by asking this question, or questions. What got you interested in video games, both in a personal and a professional development sense?
Sure. Yeah, that's kind of a a big question. I've been playing games since I was 4 years old. I went over to a friend's house once, and they had a original Nintendo Entertainment System. At the time, I wasn't allowed to play it, which only made me want to play it more. And so I like begged my parents to get me one. And for by the time I was 5, for that Christmas, they got the family and NES, and so I've been kind of wrapped up in the entire gaming subculture since that period of when I was 5 years old. However, I didn't really make video games for a long time after that. I dabbled a little bit, middle school and high school, but as all of you know, the accessibility of the software to do these kinds of things. I'm 40 years old, so when I was in middle school and high school, it really wasn't there. There was like RPG Maker and stuff like that, but nothing like we have today. And so it really wasn't until probably, God, what is it, 2025? Maybe like 12 years ago, I read this book called uh, Rise of the Video Game Zinesters. I think that's what it's called, by Anna Anthropy. And it was all about just like treating video games like any other art form that we do casually. Like when you sit down and you draw a picture, or you might write a poem or a short story, or you take a picture with your phone, right? We kind of exceptionalized video games. At least, I remember them feeling exceptional when I was little. And so it was always something like, well, if only I could do that, but because of this, that, or the other barrier, I won't. And so once all these forces came together with his accessibility of software, game engines, Unity, Unreal, a plethora of others, and then ways to learn all that, online tutorials, communities. Suddenly all those barriers didn't exist. And so anyway, this book was really inspirational to me. And so I've been making games now ever since. And to make a long story short as possible, I have been making NES games, retro NES games, since around 2019, using the NES Maker software that I backed, I think, in like a 2018 Kickstarter, and then I didn't even open the software until January of 2019.
Yeah, I know that
So I had no
feeling.
reason to, but yeah, you know what I'm saying. But as soon as from that moment on, outside of a few exceptions, I've been making exclusively, for some reason, 8-bit games.
I mean, I guess if I had to venture a guess, I think you might have answered your question with the opening of the discussion here. Yeah, you were really impacted by the NES at an early age, and you were kept away from it. So that spark seems to have wormed its way into the recent past and present.
Yeah, it's really weird because I mean, I was initially kept away from it, and then I had it, but then I kind of lost interest. Like, I think I literally lost it. I don't know how you lose a game system, but that's how little interest I had in the NES by like the mid '90s. And I played games, that entire time, but by that point I was moving on to like, Super Nintendo N64. And so it's not like I've ever been lost or like stuck in one moment in gaming. Like I, to this day, play all the latest stuff. Like, I love retro gamers, but like I believe in like, playing everything. And yet, I think you're right. There is something. I mean, something about that first introduction to the NES that is somehow special. At least, and especially when you start making games for it, I feel like my love for it has only grown over the last 6 years.
It would have to, since you are, and to clarify for the audience, because we have both types of developers here. That is to say, we have game devs who work in the style of a classic system, but on modern hardware, modern engines, that sort of thing. And then we have the developers that make original games for original hardware, which you are the latter of.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, so I've made some retro themed like modern indie games, but yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's a good distinction to make.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's an important one because you're actually working in the limitations of the NES, which is a different thing than working in the style.
Yeah, compared to something like Shovel Knight, which it looks like it, but it's definitely cheating.
Yes. It's
like having to deal with the amount of stuff that can actually be loaded at once and transmitted to the screen and stuff is significantly harder.
And there are other rule breakages with those modern titles. But with that in mind, how hard do you find it to develop games for the NES?
That's a good question. I will say, like, I'm coming to game development as a storyteller and as a designer, and so I don't have a rich background in engineering or various programming languages, and so right off the bat, like, it was very daunting to me because I had to learn a lot. I knew the basics of programming because I had done some Unity projects, but assembly language is in some ways a different kind of beast.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah, and some of you guys might know a lot more about this than I do, even after all this time. But Nestmaker helped a lot with the onboarding because a lot of the back end is already there for you, and so
that's what we've been seeing a lot with like these modern like NES, SNES inspired tools that lets you make stuff on older consoles. Is they take care of the stuff like formatting stuff for assembly and all that crap.
Yeah, you don't have to code the whole thing in basically machine language.
Yeah,
not at all. And
mind you, we have had developers on this program who do it the old way. The way they did back in the day.
There are some like hardcore Nest devs, and really that's the community that predated Nestmaker as a software tool.
Right.
And they're still around, and there are people still learning the basics and doing that all. And they use different kinds of tool sets rather than Nestmaker as kind of an all-in-one. But anyway, that's just to give you a little like background, like how hard was it. It was very hard for me, and you can go back to like my first game, Wampus, and see just like it plays fine. It's a game, but it's very it's very much like a cookie cutter type of Nestmaker game. Whereas as I've gone on, I've made each project more and more unique. It's not something that someone could just like download Nestmaker and like make in a week, like Wampus, like my first game. It's like these. So It's a very challenging. There's a lot to know, and to be honest, I don't even at this point have a good handle on it. But it's fun to work within those constraints and limitations. And again, if you look at my library of games, I'm always moving from one genre to another, just to kind of get a feel for it as a designer, but also just to see, something on the NES that maybe never existed before.
My name is Matthew Lee. I'm a professional oil painter, and I've been.
Oh, stupid autoplay. Sorry about that.
That's the voice of that's the voice of Matthew Lee. He's the painter. He does all of our box cover art.
Yeah, apologies about that. Anyway, because this is a good time to segue into your latest project, of which a Kickstarter is running at this very moment in time, at time of broadcast / recording, and that is Mega Kaiju Boom Ball, which, if you haven't been watching trailer footage, is a combination / variation on Arkanoid / Breakout, and I don't know, an adventure game, an action game, something along those lines.
I guess what you're going with, though, Adam, those definitions have changed between, NES era and now.
Right, but I'm trying to stick with NES parameters here.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to describe. I kind of say it's a Breakout meets Pinball meets Giant Monster game. So I don't necessarily. I mean, I guess it's an action game, right? Like, and in some ways, it's a shooter too. Although that's just more like a single mechanic. But you can turn on unlimited ammo and make it a kind of shooter as well. So it's a weird beast.
Not that weird. Because you can trace this back all the way to Arkanoid. If you ever got to the last level with the boss battle against Doe, it played out like this. Or Arkanoid 2 had several bosses that played like this. To more modern Brick Breaker titles like Shatter or Wizard have much more of this style of gameplay.
Yeah, and I was inspired by really the 16-bit era kind of games. I mean, primarily a game called Battle Pinball, but also I played some Breakout likes like on the Genesis that had similar. Yeah, they're very much like this. So absolutely.
Yeah. So in terms of Kickstarter, is this your first one, or is this like every time you do a new game, do you run a Kickstarter?
Yeah. So I mean, technically, I think this would be my fourth Kickstarter. Although in this one, I'm collaborating with a publisher, Dalian Retro Games from Paul Daly. And so I think it's under his name, but I've done 3 previous Kickstarters under my own account. And outside of those, I've used a publisher, Premium Edition Games, for my last 3 NES titles under the Orebody Inc. Label. So I kind of transitioned to the studio Orebody Inc. in 2021. This is my first Kickstarter for an Orebody Inc. game. So it's kind of complex, but yeah, it's not new to me as far as running campaigns. But I think this is sort of the biggest, most robust one we've done so far.
In what fashion? Like in terms of the game itself, or in terms of the Kickstarter campaign?
In terms of the campaign, but I mean, maybe the game too. I don't know, but yeah, it's certainly the campaign.
Okay. And how is it the most robust? Is basically what I'm asking here. Like, what has gotten more elaborate? The Kickstarter goals, the rewards, the stretch goals?
All of the above. Like, to be honest, like my first Kickstarter, I did for my second NES game ever. I just didn't really understand enough about what the community wanted. I didn't understand anything about running a Kickstarter, and I didn't really do the research required. And so that Kickstarter, although it was funded, barely like made a dent. But I learned a lot of lessons there. And then the other Kickstarters, I guess I just never put as much energy into. This one, I did a lot of planning, reaching out. I do daily posts. I have I don't know, a lot of YouTubers and streamers playing the game and sharing videos, talking to other Kickstarter campaigns and doing cross promotion. Just like for anyone who's run a crowdfunding campaign, none of this should sound unique, but it is the first time that I'm trying to do it all in this campaign for a game. I guess in a way I'm being less shy about my work than I have in the past.
It comes with the territory. Since you're the one who has to get the funding out, the funding word out. Not all Kickstarters operate like that. Like some Kickstarters are more, let's say, professionally backed. But this, I would say, is not one of them in the sense that, you didn't hire a marketing firm to handle your Kickstarter campaign. Yeah.
No, we don't have that kind of budget.
At least not yet.
Right.
Indeed. So, yeah, doing things like this show, yep, business. Anyway, in terms of the actual progress of the Kickstarter, I am pleased to report that not only is this Kickstarter already funded, but it has more than doubled its initial funding goal. At time of broadcast, this is over $12,000 out of a $6,000 goal. And it's got 3 weeks left. Now, given the once again, the sliver of time we're in the slumpy part of a Kickstarter. They'll tell you the peak Kickstarter / crowdfunding times are right at the beginning and right at the end. But you still gotta make your moves throughout the entire thing. That being said, what has been funded? What are the stretch goals? How many of the stretch met, and what's still left to reach?
Yeah, definitely. So I'll start by saying, like, the goal of 6,000 is somewhat arbitrary. We could, set the goal at $100, and like if two people want the game, we could make it happen. But we just need the money to make the physical NES carts and boxes and ship it all out, like, because that's just a huge investment and a lot of risk to take on if you don't have pre-orders. So this is really a pre-order campaign. The game, as I say in the Kickstarter, is 99.99% done. I'm going to make a couple changes. And there's some bonus material. In fact, maybe more like 99% done, but that we might include if we can reach the further stretch goals. But to the other part of your question, so far we have met the first stretch goal, which is a collection of stickers based on the giant monsters, the kaiju in the game. Those are going to go out with every physical tier, every physical reward tier. So everything except for the ROM only digital pack. Everyone's going to get stickers for free now because we've reached that stretch goal. And then just recently we've reached the second stretch goal, was set at 12,000, and that's for a mini poster of the original oil painting that Matthew Warren Lee did, a local artist here in the Milwaukee, Wisconsin area. And he's done paintings for all of Orebody Inc.'s NES games. And so we're going to include a folded mini poster in the all physical reward tiers as well. And so we're super happy. I'm super happy that both of those got reached because I love stickers. The kaiju are super cool. And I also like the idea of people having a poster of my friend's art because I think it's great. And we have some really cool additional stretch goals if we are lucky enough to reach them. The next one up is a Mecha Deus Rex. So Deus Rex is kind of the analog to Godzilla in our game. If you want to think about our game as having a Godzilla.
The one that won't get you sued into oblivion.
Absolutely, and all of our kaiju are kind of like that. They're all analogs to the very, very famous and well-known kaiju. And so we have a Mecha Deus Rex stretch goal and a bonus level, essentially, that we really want to implement and finalize in the game. And then we have a stretch goal after that for Mecha Kong. Good thing about Kong is that the name Kong is in the public domain, so I can say Kong and not get in trouble as long as you don't use the word king in front of it for the next couple years.
Or donkey.
Yeah, or donkey. That's right. And so then we have a Mecha Kong stretch goal, which is along similar lines for a bonus level. And then another stretch goal, which is to create a bonus 2-player. So we have a whole 2-player co-op campaign in this game as well that differs slightly in terms of design and the number of levels available from the single-player campaign. And so one of the stretch goals is to add another 2-player level as well for our folks who like to play with their loved ones, partners, family members, siblings, sons, daughters, what have you.
Okay.
But yeah.
And related to the campaign is, have you been affected by the tariff situation that's going on now?
So that's a great question. I have an NES game with another publisher that should have been out already, and now I'm that's been definitely impacted because of their supply chains. This one, I do not believe so. Dalian Games works with a lot of local distributors. Nothing's been mentioned about that, and I think it would have come up. And I think we have partners as well to do local creation in other territories to bypass some of that stuff. So, I don't know the full situation, but I don't think there's going to be any major issues with tariffs and us getting supplies or parts or anything and getting stuff out together or getting it out to other people. But I will certainly update backers if any issues do arise. But right now, it's looking pretty good with our partners network. So,
okay, that is actually good to hear because
absolutely.
Because a lot of uncertainty around that situation at the best of times. But also paralleled alongside that is, are you shipping these NES carts to the US only, or are you doing anything internationally?
Right now, our distributor is shipping to the world, anywhere in the world. So, as far as I know.
That is interesting. So
it's one of the things. As long as they can make it work, rock on.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, I don't know enough details, but I know that it's not a major concern at the moment. So, again, with this other project, it has been a problem, but I think we might be able to navigate it pretty confidently going into early next year when we plan to ship.
I was about to ask what was your release date target, but that's do you have a specific date yet, or is that still being solidified?
Right now, our target is February 2026, so early next year.
And is this just for the physical version of the game?
Yeah, these are for all physical rewards. As far as the actual ROM of the game, that'll be ready to go before the end of the year.
Fair enough.
I'm using this period to get a bunch of feedback from beta testers. I have a short list of changes I want to implement based on suggestions or based on things that people, ran into. So again, nothing major. And then the only other thing would be to finalize bonus material should we reach those stretch goals. But yeah, my plan is to have the ROM out before the end of the year to all backers and also to anyone else who wants to purchase it via itch.io. And then the physical release, be it the NES version, or we're also offering a Famicom version for anyone who's interested in that. Those will go out hopefully by February. And again, you never know, but I have a lot of faith in Paul and Daliant Retro Games. They've done really good work in the past.
Now, is it like an actual Japanese, in Japanese Famicom game, or is it just like the English version of the game in a Famicom style cartridge?
You got us. No, that's what it is. It's the English version in a Famicom format in the Famicom cart. We do a little bit of Japanese on the box itself, but otherwise, yeah, it's not a translation or anything.
I mean, I can understand why, because not so much space considerations, because that's actually that'd be if you had dealing with Japanese text to English.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on what writings, what kind of writing you use, but yeah.
But I'm gonna venture to say that Mega Kaiju Boomball here wasn't going to be using a lot of kanji where it be translated.
But there's also Japanese video signals and stuff like that need to be worked out too.
No. Actually, that's not a thing. We use the same signal as Japan.
Oh, right. No, it was the SNES where they used the different sound chip between English and Japan.
No, it's the exact same hardware there. In fact, it's really easy to mod a Super Nintendo to play Super Famicom. Super easy. But anyway, I suppose we are getting low on time here, unfortunately. So my final question at this juncture is, what do you have planned after Mega Kaiju?
So I mean, we always have a couple projects on the back burner. So next up is a game called Hammer Mill. We're called Orebody Inc. Our first NES game was a game called Orebody Binder's Tale. The whole conceit is that we're trying to build this narrative universe on this alien world of Orebody. I won't get into the particulars of what the lore and the mythology behind all that. But the ironic part. The ironic part is that only 2 of our games so far have even taken place on that world. That's Binder's Tale and Crater Song. Another game we did called called Oratorio is like this cyberpunk, totally different thing. And then obviously Mega Kaiju Boomball is its own thing as well. And so all that's to say, the next game, Hammer Mill, is going to be a return to the sci-fi fantasy world of Orebody, and it's kind of an 8-bit, and we initially started development on Game Boy. I haven't decided if I'm going to continue on Game Boy or just make it another NES game. I'm kind of interested in developing for something besides the NES at this point. But the basic thing is sort of a oceanic adventure game, kind of steampunk inspired, kind of cyberpunk inspired, about an alien who befriends this squid type creature, and they kind of go on this adventure, this odyssey together on this alien ocean of Orebody, and that kind of thing. little bit action, a little bit role playing, a little bit exploration.
Sounds interesting. Yeah, and if you do move over to the Game Boy, GB Studio will be your best friend.
Yeah, that's what we started the project on. We have a early build of it on there. So, but it's been like probably 1.5 years. So I'm sure they have a much better, like, updated version at this point.
Yes, I suppose so. We don't work in GB Studio, so we don't keep up with the release and the minutia there. But it's reasonable to assume that a programming suite will be updated like that.
Yeah, I think I saw some, like, they've had regular updates. I try to stay, up, in tune with it, but I'm not paying too close of attention.
Right. Now, indeed. So we have reached the end of our allotted time. So I'm going to say thank you for being with us here today to talk about your game Kickstarter project and your plans for the future. It's been a lovely conversation, and we look forward to seeing your kaiju game reaching fruition, as well as your future endeavors getting developed as well. So.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Thanks again for having me on, and thanks for your interest in the game. And hopefully, some more people will get some more eyeballs on the game. And what we really want are people who love giant monsters or kaiju or Breakout to, like, know that this game exists. Like, that's the hardest part. So I really appreciate having me on.
And indeed. So yeah, the game is Mega Kaiju Boom Ball. The Kickstarter is active at kickstarter.com/projects/JD3/Mega Kaiju Boom Ball, a new NES game by Orebody Inc. So be sure to go and back it today and for the next 3 weeks at the time of recording. I'd imagine there's also going to be late backer options, possibly. But be sure to look for the completed product in February for the physical version, and later on this year in digital. Right, Petty. Actually, we got news to get to, because we broke format for this.
And it's caught me off guard.
It's messing with all of my cues as well. I'm like, wait, no, we haven't done news yet.
Yeah.
Ugh. Anyway, well, Petty, we should start with you.
Because fuck.
Yes.
So, last week was going pretty well. And then Friday, I went out to check the mail, and we got a letter from the insurance company saying that we need to have certain things that need to be done on the outside of the house, or they are canceling our homeowner's insurance. Canceling our homeowner's insurance may end up causing us to lose our house, because I believe that is part of our mortgage agreement to have homeowner's insurance. So there is a bunch of absolute bullshit that the insurance company wants done before they'll reinstate us. Like, there's some peeling paint on our back porch. Some dead ivy on the side of the house. There is the roof leak, which that's probably the only one that's fair. We need to resolve that. But
it sounds like less of an insurance agency and more of a homeowners association.
Unfortunately, it is the homeowners. We don't have a HOA here. But it's like, oh yeah, and they were also trying to ding us for trash in the yard. We live not quite next to, but very close to a gas station. Just far enough that if you were to, eat your candy bar and throw it out your window, guess where it lands? Spoilers, it's our house. So, that's a bunch of BS. We have some friends who are coming to help us. We're also going to work on cleaning inside the house more too, because we learned that this weekend the dump is having basically like free cleanup week where you can bring stuff to the dump, and as long as you've paid your personal property tax and stuff, you get basically 2 days of almost unlimited dump use. I mean, you still can't bring stuff that's not allowed into the dump. Like, I can't bring a few gallons of lead paint or whatever. But like it is, but yeah, stuff you can't do stupid shit like that. But like the trash are cleaning out from the other rooms and stuff like that, or like the boxes we had on the back porch that we were wondering what we were going to do with. We're just going to take them all to the dump and not have to worry about it. We have some friends coming this weekend who have a truck who's going to help us clean some stuff out. But yeah. We have until mid-November to get everything sorted out. So, assuming we can sort all this out, we don't need to worry about either frantically trying to get a new homeowner's insurance provider or, losing the house. It's just very stressful. My sister and I have been busting our asses cleaning all week. We don't know when or if the parents are going to help, which is frustrating because most of the issues downstairs are their fault. So, it's definitely one of those things where I was hoping the worst thing that was going to happen this year was losing Luna. Now we potentially could lose the house. So that's... It would be one thing if something happened that was, let's just call it some sort of environmental accident, not, oh, by the way, the paint's peeling on the side of the porch, we're not renewing your homeowner's insurance and you're going to lose your house. So, something inane like that is just absolutely dumb. But yeah, after we get most of the cleanup done, we're going to see about what we need to get painted, weigh the options of roof repair versus roof replacement. Because if we can save some money repairing it now and getting it back in line for the insurance company to cover us again, if we have another problem, that's theirs to fix. And yeah, just been a lot of running around and trying to clean crap. Luckily, upstairs isn't that bad, other than I do need to do some work in my room, which is what I've been mostly working in. But the big problem is going to be cleaning up downstairs, because our parents have not been keeping up their half of the house. So yeah, it's going to be... There's not going to be a lot of game updates from me, aside from I got Digimon Time Story today. Hopefully, because the house gets really dark, I can still do the nightly stuff, like the show, MS or Final Fantasy stuff with Mac, Time Stranger stuff in the evening with Golix and Ogre. But it's definitely going to be like probably stuff like playing games for reviews might be impacted, because I might just be too tired to try and fiddle with some of the games for review, especially if I have like an RPG or whatever. It's probably not happening. So I guess that's just something to keep in mind. But yeah, just a lot of... I wish they would have told us in like February, March when they came to look at the roof, oh yeah, you got these problems here, and not 6 weeks before they were going to renew us, oh, by the way, we're not going to renew you, fix this now or get screwed. But yeah, that's it from me. Expect more ranting on this in the coming weeks.
I have no doubts. Galax?
Less going on here. My parents went away over the weekend to visit my sister to help out with some stuff since her boyfriend was away, so had to help take care of things. Other than that, it's finally starting to actually feel like fall, I guess, so that's nice for people who like that, which includes me. I am also looking forward to Times. I got the news that my Time Stranger order has shipped, but I don't. It was supposed to come like sometime next week.
Are they at least
probably
giving you like a Steam code, or do you order it on a console?
It's the Ultimate Edition or whatever, or Collector's Edition, so the code will presumably be on something in the package.
Sometimes, I guess, check your email. Sometimes they will
I
email
did.
you a code. They might email you one on launch day.
I got a separate code for the DLC, and yeah, maybe, and they already sent that, so I don't know.
Because I know with Final Fantasy, when I ordered the collector's edition of Endwalker, they sent me the code immediately, and I had to wait for my feelies.
Yeah, let's see what it said on the frickin' email. Also, apparently the shiny opposite version legendary event in Pokemon has been going swimmingly, in that they sent like 100 or less codes to every store.
Oh
so
yeah, I
they
need to see about getting those.
They ran out in like every store ran out in like an hour after opening, and we're hoping they'll either come up with an alternate, either distribute more or...
Yeah, apparently people have been trying to flip those online for like $100 each.
The going rate, some people have been trying that. The going rate is between 30 and 40, but that's still bullshit. It's supposed to be a free event.
Some places were doing you could only get it with a $15 purchase.
Then that would explain why the only freaking response the Nintendo Pokemon Company gave was that it's supposed to be you're not supposed to have to pay anything, even though that was not what my complaint was. My complaint was you didn't give the stores enough freaking enough
quantity
stock. Yeah, enough things. So yeah, that is annoying, and hopefully I will be able to get some. Video game wise, I have, since we're in the season where tons of games start coming out, I have committed to actually starting to play Super Robot Wars Y. So I'm not very far yet, but it's been going well enough.
That's a tactics game, right?
Yes.
All right.
Let's see. They're currently expecting it to be delivered by Thursday, or by Friday this week. So that will be nice. I just checked the shipping
that's
tracking.
launch day, so yeah.
Yeah. The thing initially said like between, it was either 7 to 10 days or something from I don't know when, but yeah. No, it's in Pennsylvania right now, I guess. So
I do like that
hopefully
Bandai does do expedited shipping for stuff like this.
Yeah, I didn't pay extra for shipping, so it may only be the regular, but if it gets there if it gets there on release date, I'm not complaining.
I don't see anyone who would.
Yep. That's about all I got, I think.
Okay. That means it's my turn. Right. So as you might know, we were off last week because I was engaged in a family reunion. And it went off pretty well, all things considered. It was definitely the elements of a family reunion and all that entails. What is to say, I saw a bunch of people that I'm related to that I haven't seen in a good long while, and of course, what gets dragged along is both the family drama and the fucking Republican politics. Neither of which were very pleasant. I'm like, the family drama. I won't get into here because once again, it's a family affair. But let's just say there are family members that are, fighting each other, not literally, thank God, but a lot of clashes, let's say, which put a damper on the week. Didn't ruin it, but definitely one party kept complaining about the other party to everybody in earshot. And that caused a lot of problems. And, as far as the politics, it's literally your racist uncle's politics, or at least my racist uncle.
Right.
But, I think it all went off well. As far as this week, a lot quieter, which is to be expected. In terms of video games, been playing through Dragon Age Inquisition, which I'm not sure if it's a heresy or anything, but I definitely like a lot more than the first Dragon Age. Never played the second Dragon Age. I heard too many bad things about it.
Which version of the first Dragon Age?
The Ultimate Origin Edition.
Well, because I remember it differed greatly from the 360 and PC version.
And that's possible because I believe that was the last game to use the Aurora engine, which was the engine BioWare was using for Neverwinter Nights.
Yeah. I remember the PC version had a lot more tactical elements to it, while the Xbox version was a lot more action game.
That's very possible. I don't know. When I played Dragon Age 1, it just felt so archaic. And I guess that was technically true, but I just did not really care. I put 40 hours into it, but I'm just I don't like this.
Yeah.
And
none of you interest me.
But Dragon Age Inquisition, that was made, which I don't have a terrible amount of experience with in terms of play time, but it feels very unreal and not in a good way. That is to say, the physics, the movement moves some Unreal games that I've played in a bad way, like I'm controlling a heavy goods truck. And it's like it tries to do realistic physics, but just kind of annoys me. Like there's momentum, but I don't want momentum. Like I don't want my characters to keep on going after I've stopped. I didn't like it as far back as don't. It's just a gaming trope I'm never gonna acquiesce towards. Like, but it's also like when certain people complain about checklist simulators, this is the kind of game that they're talking about. It's not Ubisoft levels of bad, but I can definitely see people who hate modern gaming would definitely hate this kind of game. Me, mini maps and waypoint markers don't bother me in the least. Mainly because I grew up with a lack of that stuff, and I hated it. I hated making my own maps.
Yeah, I don't think anybody sane really likes to make their own maps in a game unless they're like, there's a specific mood you have to be in for that.
Yeah, there are people who will swear by it, but I'm like, dear God, we injected reality with mini maps and waypoint markers. We call it GPS.
Yeah, literally. I have my phone in my hand right now. I can hit a button and it'll be a mini map.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, don't tell me it's unrealistic. No, we configured reality around this technology. Yeah. I'm like, anyway, we should probably move along to the topic of discussion. So, Penny, play us to that segment. Right. So, welcome to the topic of discussion. So, this one's not going to be easy for us to talk about, at least not for me, because it involves the death of a dearly departed friend. In terms of life, maybe more of an acquaintance, but still somebody we were friendly towards in Andrew Dice of Carpe Fulgur. We got the news a couple of days ago, through a posting from his business partner that he passed away a few days ago under non-disclosed circumstances. I can speculate on what happened there. In fact, I got a pretty good idea of what happened there, but given that I cannot say I know what happened there, and it hasn't been disclosed to the public, or at least not last time I checked, I will leave that off the table. I'm like, but I do have to acknowledge it is of the public record that Andrew did suffer from depression and did engage in a suicide attempt. So I am dearly hoping that it wasn't a repeat cause. I do have to lay that down, but I'm not saying it was a suicide. I have no idea, but I do know his history. That is a matter of public record, and it would be disingenuous to not mention that at some point. And indeed, we want to remember the good times, because Andrew Dice, Carpe Fulgur, they are one of the unsung heroes, or one of the underrated gems of this business. Something along those lines. Because they are actually hugely influential, but it's in a really niche space. Though it's a space that's not as niche as it once was. And that's a lot, no small part due to their effort. And in case you don't know their story, they're probably best known as the localizers for the game Reciteer, an item shop's tale, which was notable in the year of 2010 for being, I want to say, like, maybe not the first Dojin game ever localized, but maybe the first localized through official channel.
Yeah, the
That
first
is to
Dojin
say,
game localized and marketed as a significant for sale game to the public, as opposed to localized
a
and then
fan
passed around, or localized and then available through very limited means.
right. It's a weird situation because you have what is called a Dojin game, which is like a fan game, but it's not an actual fan game. Like, it's not based off of any property, but in this case, it's an independent game.
Mm-hmm.
Dojin can meet both, and indeed, Easy Game Station worked in both mediums.
It literally means self-made, so.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so what Reciteer did is they provided a official translation for, and it ended up on Steam. And we're talking about the Steam of 2010.
Yeah.
Which,
back when Steam was very, very closed off.
Yes. Steam, Steam was you had to know people to get in.
Steam was getting new games, what, a month? If that?
Maybe not that slow, but it was still
But it was
pretty
definitely
selective.
not one game every third of a second like it is now.
Oh, far from it. Like, this was still, like, even established video developers. Like, I specifically remember, trying to remember the developer's name. Wajidai, there we go. Wajidai complaining about getting onto Steam. They said their process at that particular moment in time was, they released their games on GOG, they got big there, and then Steam noticed.
Right.
Like, people forget how close Steam off was and how much people wanted on it.
Yeah. Back in the day, getting on Steam was a badge of honor, especially for an indie.
And this is all coalescing around Reciteer here, because Reciteer broke down the door for Japanese games, for Japanese indie games, for Dojin games, for visual novels, for all of the niche shit that wouldn't get the time of day before this game came out.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, that is a huge influence.
And then when you look at this game in particular, this game also is like one of the first shop management that you supplement with adventuring or whatever games, which is also pretty relevant in the marketplace these days.
Right. I don't know how many of these new shopkeeper games cite Reciteer as an influence, because Reciteer is a hybrid game, because it's got the shop simulator, but it's also got an action RPG attached to it as well.
Yeah. Well, at least a lot of the shop simulators just do the shop simulator half.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But yeah, Reciteer was a smashing success, especially for an indie. Like, let me look up. Yeah, so last sales record was the game selling over 500,000 units as of July 2017.
Which, that's very good for an indie.
Yeah. very like this is like a microstate game.
Mm-hmm.
And like that is an outsized level of success.
Mhm.
And it led to further output. Indeed, I think we've reviewed every one of their games except Reciteer.
Mm-hmm.
And indeed, Reciteer is actually an important of the lore, or the the background story of not necessarily this show, but of MSP, because Carpe Fulgur was our second interview ever in terms of video games. If you want to know what the first was, it was with the Torchlight developer.
Right.
Mhm.
Like, in fact, Torchlight was the game I was playing when I realized, hey, wait a minute, we can get video game people on this. But being the booker I am, I tend to, even back then, I asked multiple entities
Mm-hmm.
to, in case this, this developer says no or doesn't respond. Runic Games, that's what it was. But yeah, first interview was Runic Games, second was Carpe Fulgur. So this title was interested in getting all of the video game stuff that we have been doing since 2010
Mm-hmm.
going.
It's probably what caused Fragments to exist.
Right down the chain. Now, in terms of the other games that Carpe Fulgur has released, unfortunately, nothing that they released ever reached the heights of Reciteer
Mm-hmm.
in terms of sales. But in fairness, they only released 4 games under their own banner. After Reciteer, it was Chantalise, which was an interesting choice because Chantalise was another game from Easy Games. It was a later release, but it was an earlier game. It came before Reciteer. And having played it, it's been a long time, but I remember it feeling the rough draft for Reciteer. Like, it wasn't as good or as polished as Reciteer was, but that's understandable because it came before. And then there was Fortune Summoners, which was from a different developer called Lizsoft. I distinctly remember playing through this one for review. And it's brutal difficulty. And this is a very this is a game. It's a side view. It's a game in the vein of Pop Full Mail, if anyone else remembers that.
That's a deep cut.
Honestly, I think this was my favorite game out of the things that they localized under their banner. And finally, like the Starry Night We Made, I think it was called. Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't remember too much about this one. Yeah, it was kind of maybe not their worst, but definitely their least game. That's the one that they were promoting around 2015. That's the game we talked about when we had Andrew on the program at the same time as Harebrained Schemes. Like, I think they were doing the Kickstarter for BattleTech. Unfortunately, all of the Carpe Fulgur interviews are from the Talk Shoe era, either MSP or this show, Fragments.
So they may not be lost, but they're not easily accessible.
Yeah, it's like because I didn't label those because I didn't think I had to.
Mm-hmm.
But oh well, live and learn.
Now we have a very good archive system, assuming YouTube doesn't blow up on us.
Yeah. Sorry, it was this Starry Midnight Remake. Yeah. I don't remember this title. It's one of those. Anyway, yeah. So after this game, I'm not sure what their rationale was. I didn't bother sending an invite to Andrew when they moved into the localization for hire game because
But they have been doing a significant amount of work in that.
Right, but here's the thing: they weren't able to talk about it.
Yeah,
right.
Because they weren't localizing, not their own stuff, but stuff that they were publishing. They were working for other people, and when you get to the, especially in fields like localization, it can be very tight-lipped.
Especially because it's not your stuff anymore.
Right. A good example with this is, our good friend formerly of Ghostlight Games, Ross Bierly, who could not talk about any project that Ghostlight Games didn't publish. Same deal here. So as much like I would have loved to have talked to him about the Super Robot Wars localizations, but unfortunately, that opportunity is never going to come to be now. Because, well, not only is Andrew no longer with us, Robin, we never got to know. Like, it was always Andrew we talked to. And, sometimes that happens. One person is the point man that we interact with, the other is not. So it's, I'm not gonna lie, it's been a bit depressing. I won't say like this death has devastated me, because there's enough distance, but it's still, it's hard when a friend dies, kind of deal. So, like, I wish there was something poignant I could say about his legacy. Something very flowery and prosy, but I wasn't an English major. So, a history lesson is what you're going to get from history.
Right.
And in terms of what happens to Carpe Fulgur, well, we do know that the games that they publish / localize, they're going to go back to their original developers. And the thing that's most up in the air is Easy Game Station has been working on an HD remake or remastering of Reciteer, and that's still in development. Like, that's still going to come out in Japanese. Carpe Fulgur no longer exists. And like Robin has said that Carpe Fulgur is no longer going to carry on as a company, for very understandable reasons.
Right.
But that does leave Reciteer HD, as it was being called, in limbo. That being said, given that it is the year 2025 and the localization business on PC is much, much bigger there's probably going to be somebody who's going to pick this up. I just couldn't tell you who.
Unfortunately, the original translation for Esoteria is a little dated.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was fine for 2010, but we're also 15 years past that.
Not usually
Right.
problematically, but they were always very contemporary in terms of including not like literal pop culture references, but like figures of speech.
It's a bit working design-y here. Not to their level, but like you got an Amazon box in it, which was an actual change that Carpe Fulger made. That kind of deal. But we're not going to get into a translation versus localization debate.
Yeah, no, the Super Robot Wars translations are kind of like that too, mostly in a good way. But obviously, the time that they are of is more recent.
Right. Also, that was being done under the direction of a much larger entity and whatnot.
I should hope so, with the amount of text in these things.
Right. Anyway, that's about all I got here. I'm just feeling a bit verklempt now. So we're going to wrap things up before, any more sad feelings gush out. And with that, we have reached the end of another episode of Fragments of Silicon. Right. So coming up on the week ahead, we do have a new episode of MSP planned. And it's supposedly going to be making its grand debut at its new home on Twitch.
Yes.
On that
MS_presents.
Yeah. Also, Petty, don't end the broadcast after we end the broadcast.
Yep.
Mac wants to shift things over. No Friday show this week due to a combination of factors. And coming up on the Sunday reviews, we'll be having reviews of Flickshot Rogues, Dangerous Ultimate Cartridge Kidnapper, Duck. Sorry, it's Duck. Long acronym. Kingsblade and Wander Stars. So look for all of that and more. And until next time, I shall wish you good gaming.